I want to talk about identity without permission, like becoming you or being you without asking permission. Uh, Growing up at Old Apostolic Lutheran, as a child, your identity was defined for you. If you grew up a boy or you grew up a girl, you basically knew what your life path was going to be. If you were a girl, you were going to be a stay-at-home mom and take care of a bunch of kids. If you were a boy, you were going to grow up and probably either create your own company or work for one of the guys in the church that has a company. They have a lot of construction, plumbing, electrician kinds of things. Like the guys, they're blue collar workers. They work manual jobs. They bring home the bacon for their extra large families. Um, you weren't allowed to exist outside of those boxes. There was no individuality. You weren't yourself. You were part of a group. You weren't you. There's no expression of identity, expression of self. You wear similar clothes to the other people in the church. You wear your hair similar. Like everybody kind of looks the same. Long hair, like earthy tones, khakis, beiges, not a lot of bright colors. It's not a place for you to uh, explore curiosity about yourself or really about anything. Obedience is praised. Trust and obey is probably one of the most often heard lines in my childhood. It's just trust and obey. Trust whatever they're telling you and be obedient, and you'll go to heaven, and you'll have the open arms of everybody in church. As soon as you start questioning any of that, you start having backs turned on you, especially if you're vocal about it. If you open your mouth and start asking questions, well, why can't I wear that? Why can't I go here? I'm interested in learning about this. Um, that's all suppressed. That's all uh, fear mongered out of you. So I was very interested in like sciences and evolution and learning about things like that. But I was always told that we go to public schools and we learn enough to pass their tests, but that we don't actually believe what they teach us. Like dinosaurs didn't actually exist. But suppressing all of that comes at a cost emotionally, mentally, spiritually. It causes somebody to grow up and not understand a lot of things about the real world and how it works, like relationships, and managing your emotions and learning that what you're feeling is not sinful. It's not going to send you to hell because you have these thoughts. um, that's normal. It's okay to question indoctrination. It's actually a good thing when you're brought up in a place that teaches you not to think or doesn't let you think critically. Thinking critically feels like you're doing something wrong, and that is that is not the case. But to override that suppression of intuition, of those little voices in your head that are not the whispers from what you heard in church or what you heard them preach somebody else's sermon to be, or whatever they interpreted the Bible to mean. When you start tearing that apart and poking holes in it on your own, because they won't let you do it with them, they won't give you any room to ask any kinds of questions that don't fit their narrative or that they can't mold to fit their narrative. They're just going to tell you to trust and obey. They're going to tell you that you shouldn't be asking those questions. They're going to tell you that you shouldn't be reading if you're asking questions about, what does, I asked a lot of questions, this says this in the Bible, what does this mean? But that's not a part of the Bible that they cherry pick, so they don't have an answer for me. They don't have a way to interpret that to fit whatever it is that they're trying to sell to me, so they can't tell me anything at all. Inside, it starts to create this conflict about, well, this is what I know, this is what I've taught, but this is how I feel. I don't feel like God's going to send me to hell if I cut my hair. I don't feel like God cares if I have earrings. And I think that God cares if I care about the person next to me, if I have love for my neighbors, if I am a good person, if I am not like actively causing harm to people, which, if you know anything about the Old Apostolic Lutheran Church, the people inside are mean. They're bullies. They're judgmental. They act like people in the world are their playthings, honestly, to a point. Some of them do. They're less than. People in the world are, a step below them in some regards to them. So they think that they can look down on them. After a while, you have to just stop asking and just start looking for the answers on your own, because they're not going to give you the answers. They're not going to tell you that it's okay to be you, that it's okay to have feelings outside of what they say is right, that it's okay to have wants and desires and interests that aren't about the Bible. I stopped asking questions and I just started being myself and stepping into an identity that felt like me. And it took a lot. It took gender exploration, relationship orientation exploration. It took sexuality exploration, a lot of discovery. Like, I learned that I am not a monogamous person, and that is everything against the church. I am not a straight person. I am pansexual. So that, again, is everything against the church. Everything from the way I wear my hair to the way I wear my clothes to the way I speak. Like, everything about my identity now goes against what they said. And I, according to all of my indoctrination and all of my upbringing, I should feel shameful and terrible and guilty and bad about myself. But I don't. I'm happy in my life. I'm grateful for who I am. I'm grateful that I get to be this self. And as hard as it was to get to this point, I had to come the hard way because I have found so much in that. I found so much of myself. I found so much that was lacking in the church that I thought was there, that I realized over the years it's not there. It looks like it's there. The community that looks like is there it's exclusive. So if you're within the walls and within the boundaries of their rules and conditions, then they will love you. That's their conditional love. They don't love you unconditionally. They don't love you no matter what. They love you as long as you stick in the little boxes of what they set as right and wrong, black and white. I wasn't allowed to be anything but a girl who was going to be a wife and a mother. I helped to raise my siblings. I didn't learn a whole lot about the real world until I left and was like thrown into this whole new culture that I had no understanding of. We went to public school and we were with the public, but we were supposed to be, what was it? In the world, but not of it. Something like that. Where like we were supposed to be a living example of our faith and dress as a bunner and walk and talk and whatever as an example to other people of our living faith. I I just remember having to tell everybody, no, we don't believe in that. I can't do that because we don't believe in that. I can't do that because it's a sin. I don't remember being somebody that was like, oh, you're doing that, you're going to hell. Because I don't think I ever swallowed that completely, and I wasn't going to regurgitate it. But everybody else around me did. And I don't know how many times that I heard or knew about, or that people would just look at somebody and be like, oh, you cut your hair, you're going to hell. You pierced your ears, you're going to hell. So many things that had to be hidden, so many things that had to be sneaky about, because wearing the wrong shirt, wearing the wrong shoes would get a phone call home to my parents and a beating later. So the price of being obedience is losing yourself, and the price of being yourself is literal ostracization. Corporal punishment first, because there's that. Like, if they can't beat the sins out of you, then, they send you to the preachers and the preachers can't help, then you're a lost cause and they have to let you go, which is what they've done to me many times. My family, at least. They don't want you to not be whatever it is they want you to be. And what they want you to be is conformity. You have to conform, you have to be the same, you have to be just like them. I didn't fit any of it. Like, I always felt I was too big or too different or too weird or too, like, the dresses itched. I didn't like my hair having to be worn like that. It wasn't, I couldn't be me. And now I'm 37. Now I have 3 kids of my own. Now I did everything differently. Like, after I left the church and I had my kids, and I didn't know what the right thing was to do, but I just knew I had to do something differently. But every different step I took, I caught shit for. I caught rebuking, I caught admonishments for putting my kids in daycare, for, like, letting them make choices of what they're going to wear and how they want to have their hair and what kind of friends that they want to have and what interests them in school. So anything that deviated from what was in my childhood that I did for my kids was heavily scrutinized, criticized, and I couldn't get help from my family for my kids. So I took a long road of having a lot of people around me, but nobody that I could really trust or depend or count on. And now, like, I don't have 2 of my kids living with me. All the situations are completely not what I had expected them to be. I guess I didn't really know what to expect, because growing up, I kind of was like, well, this is what is expected of me, but that's not what I want. But I guess, like, that's what I have to do, so I'll do it. And then I got to that point and was like, okay, this is really not what I want. Now, it's not to say that I don't love my kids. I love my kids to death. But I'm not the kind of person that probably should have been a parent. Like, I'm not motherly. I'm not the greatest parent around. I know how to keep kids alive. I know how to keep them entertained. I know how to keep them safe and clean and dry. But, like, all the real world stuff, I didn't learn any of that. And I'm still trying to, like, catch up, it feels like. And now I'm, like, literally just got out of the shower. I'm staying in a campground. I'm about to drive across the country in a few days. I'm super excited about it. I've never been really anywhere outside of Michigan. Not for anything for more than a few hours, at least. And this move has been something that it's been in the works for decades. It's been, like, in the back of my mind. It was always a thing that I would love to do, but I never thought I could. I never thought that, as growing up, I never thought it would never be a possibility. And then as I got older and my life just kind of changed, I didn't think it would be a possibility. I just didn't see that being a thing. But now I'm about to take my kid and with my partners head from Michigan to Arizona and stay in the desert for a little while and follow the weather, really. And just to feel and like acknowledge the difference in my life from now to when I was growing up. I could not have imagined the kind of life, the kind of happiness, the kind of self that I have now. If you'd have told me 30 years ago when I was 7 years old that I was going to grow up and be divorced, be non-binary, which I wouldn't have even known what that meant, have multiple partners, have 3 kids that 2 of them I don't even really see at all at this point. That will change eventually. I'm hedging on those bets. I would not be in a queer, that if you told me that I was going to be in a queer campground for 3 years, I would have laughed in your face. And I have experienced so much different, so much outside that I could never imagine going back. I could never imagine putting on that shroud, stepping back into that cage, and living that way. So, if you are somebody who is still in or walking, half in, half out, as some of us have to for our families, for our emotional, mental stabilities, you're not alone. I know it's a lonely walk. I know it feels scary. It feels tentative. It feels hesitant. Every step that you make, is going to be scrutinized, but you're scrutinizing it first. You are trying to, make the little justifications, and I'm not meaning that in a bad way. Like I get it. You're trying to be yourself in a place that doesn't let you do that. And if you are doing any of that, I commend you. If you have opened your eyes, if you're waking up, if you're fully awake and you are just biding your time, I understand it. Comment in my videos. Let me know what else you'd like to hear more about. Because I am literally an open book. I will talk about anything. So, if you want to know more, or you have specific questions, or you are looking for resources, find me here, find me on Facebook, find me anywhere. Find somebody like me who also makes these videos, who's also been out of high control religion and is deconstructing and is talking about it. I've been doing this deconstruction part for years and years. My exit from the church was like a 5-year process itself. So, and then I didn't really start deconstructing until years after that. So it's been a long time since I've been out. It took a long time to get out. So all of that is understandable. And I'm not judging anybody for where they plant their butts on a Sunday. Like if you're in church because that's where you feel you need to be for whatever reason, then be there. Like I'm not going to come for anybody for that. What I might come for you for is if you claim to be a Christian and then you come at me with hatred. That's the only thing I might come for you for. That's the only thing that I'm going to actually judge you for. I'm not going to judge you if you tell me that you don't believe in church, but you still go every Sunday, because I've been there too. I did that for a while because that's the only community I knew. That was the family I knew. That was what I knew. It takes time to learn other things. It takes time to get involved in other communities, to become interested and find passions and all the things. It takes time. And I want you to take the time that it takes. Don't just jump into the first thing that be like, oh, well, this is something different. Let me do this. Let your heart pull at you. Let something be like, ooh, shiny. I need to, what is that? Let curiosity guide you. Let those inner feelings that you had as a child that were stamped out of you, let those be you. Let those tell you what you want, what you like, what you desire, what you're passionate about, and then follow it and go there. Like me, I love camping. I love being outdoors. I love all the things. And I don't want to be tied to the 9 to 5 grind. I don't want to be tied to anybody telling me what I can do, where I can go, where I have to be, and charging me rent, and charging me for power, and charging me for this and that and the other thing. I don't want to pay to exist. I want to be paid to exist. That's a whole other topic. But along those lines, I'm just going to be myself. I'm going to do the things that I like and that I enjoy and that make me happy and that I prefer. And all I want for everybody else is that they do the same. Follow your heart. Follow what makes you happy. And be happy. Have a great day, friends.